Okay, and we're now also live on Facebook. So hello everyone in Facebook world. And we're going to be going live on Instagram. Let's lower
Here
that
you
a little
are.
bit. Hi.
Hello. Let me just move our slides down a bit. Okay, perfect. And I will join us in just a second.
And if you guys could let us know if you're hearing an echo or a playback. I don't know if I just hear it because I have multiple devices, but if it's okay if it's just me, but I don't want it to be happening on the lives.
I muted myself as much as I could.
Okay. Me too on the phone. I think it might just be me. That's okay.
Gotcha. Okay, I should be connecting. Oh, here I am.
There you are.
I always get so excited and a little bit surprised when I see myself on screen. I mean, I was the one who sent in the request. I was the one who accepted it, yet I'm like, oh, look, here I am.
I'm here. No, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of wires to make this all happen. So,
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, now I think we're pretty square. All
yep.
right. So, hello, Kim. I haven't seen you
Hello.
here on this platform for a couple of weeks.
Yes, and we would like to just apologize that last Friday we did not get to go live as planned. We wanted to do this episode last week. Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. No
Thank you,
echo, no
Mary.
no feedback. Yay. Okay, so it's just in my ears, which is fine. So we didn't get a chance to do this because we had the privilege to attend the IWCE conference last week, and I then piggyback that with the Exciting Windows conference. And so the plan was I was just going to go to the Exciting Windows conference a little late because we were going to talk about all the exciting things from IWCE. But, it's life, and Vita's flight got canceled. So she was on a plane back up to Pennsylvania.
So the idea, yes, the story was supposed to fly back on Thursday night, and there was massive storms all over the East Coast. My flight got delayed, then canceled. I ended up staying over, and exactly when Kim and I were supposed to go live, I was flying. So it's okay. Here we are. We're
Yeah.
excited to share what we have learned at IWCE, some of the things
Mhm.
that we've picked up, share some of the pictures of the people that we've reconnected with. I think overall it was a lot of fun to be back at this conference
Yeah.
in person. It's something that we haven't done in a couple of years for
Mhm.
obvious reasons. And I think the momentum was there. The atmosphere was kind of electric in a way, with a lot of buzz and just people, like lots of hugging, lots of
Yeah.
shaking hands. um, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So let us just kind of start with some of our takeaways. We'll just start with showing you some of our pictures too. So this was just the entrance to the show. I was just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I'm
We're
here. Yes.
here.
IWCE is finally here. This is Jay Steinfeld, and if you guys don't know who he is, neither did I, so don't feel bad. He is the former founder and CEO of Blinds.com,
Mm.
which is a very, very large company in our industry, regardless how you feel about the big box stores or the big blinds.com or blind builders and all sorts of those types of blind companies. I think it is indisputable that they are very big players, that they employ a lot of people, and so they give livelihood to a lot of people, and they serve a lot of customers at very economical price points. So if you are in more of a custom world, which is, I know what Kim does, this is what I do, and that's primarily what our audience is as well. So I'm
Mhm.
assuming that's you guys also. And maybe we don't necessarily play in the same sandbox as blinds.com type companies. It is still, I think, very important to know what's happening in our industry, number one. And number two, I took this opportunity to learn from somebody who is extremely smart, who started just like any of us usually do if you're an entrepreneur, and that is total bootstrapping, total grassroots marketing, it out of your garage or basement, or in
Mhm.
his case, it was rat infested alley.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So that was, it was interesting to hear, because if we think that a lot of companies start with a golden parachute on a in a high tower. That is just simply not the case. And
Right.
the what was interesting about his presentation is it was in the spirit of promoting his book that he recently wrote. It's called Lead from the Core. And in it, he talks about 4 principles that he believes were instrumental in making him a success. And one of those principles is evaluate and continuously improve. And that sounds like something that we've heard many, many times, but I also know that in a lot of cases, it is not something that we do on a daily basis. And so the one example that came to mind was something that I talked about on the podcast that I recently did with Luann. This was part of her A Well-Designed Business podcast. And if you guys are not listening to it, absolutely, it's an
You
absolute
have to.
must.
Hmm.
Yep. So go on any podcast platform that you get your podcast from and type in A Well-Designed Business. And as part of her podcast, we do this recurring monthly, semi-monthly series called WTF, which is Window Treatment Friday, which was actually a precursor to what Kim and I do here, which is Window Treatment Friday Live. And so in the last episode that Luann and I did, I gave an example of how even though I've been in business for almost 17 years, there's something that was so obvious that I should have done a long time ago and I haven't.
Okay.
That particular example was a presentation that I've done with different types of projects and
Hmm.
different types of budgets that those projects represent. And that was one of the ways for me to educate our prospective customers on what different budget levels look like. So it's just the reason I bring it up now is to show you guys, to demonstrate and via an example of how I try to continuously improve. And even though something so obvious as a budget presentation that I should have done maybe in my, I don't know, third year, fifth year after I've done enough of the projects to show the different levels, somehow it just dawned on me that it's a good idea. So, and I think if you dig around your own life and business life, you can also find out the various ways, and you can figure out how you can continuously improve. No matter how long you've been in business, how experienced you are, how many people you have, what kind of products you sell.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm bummed that I flew in on Wednesday, so I didn't get to see
This was on the Tuesday.
yeah,
Yeah.
his presentation.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And here's a picture of Sue Moran. I think you just joined us, so here you are. Did you know you were going to be part of this WTF Live? So a quick story about Sue, actually. So because my flight got delayed and then canceled, I had to reroute and fly into a different city. And as I'm exiting the airport, I see Sue, and she also got delayed, rerouted, and here we are. We're like, oh my gosh. So we just saw each other in Florida, and now we're seeing each other in Philadelphia. And hey, Sue. And she had plans of how to get home. I did not have plans.
You didn't have a plan? That's so surprising.
Exactly. I mean, yes, it's quite shocking. Me not having a
Wow,
plan.
that is wild. I would have, if gun to head, someone would have said to me to not have a plan. I would have been like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like whatever. There's usually a plan A and B and XYZ. And
Yeah.
so the short of it is Sue was kind enough to kind of take me under her wing and say, come on, little girl, let me usher you out of this airport and give you the ride to your car. So it was lovely to spend time with her, to chat about life and business, and just connect on a personal level like that. So Sue, thank you very much. And of course, the other two ladies here is Renee Gorganis. She is the executive director of WCAA. And to my left is Nikki Greenwood, who is a Savannah-based window treatment specialist. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, literally.
And so Nikki Greenwood and I spent a lot of time together at this IWCE. She is a lovely, wonderful person. She was also a student of mine in the last semester of my Luann University class, and her company is Savannah Window Fashions, I believe, and
Yeah.
she's just wonderful, wonderful person, and we had a great time. So lots of these pictures of hugging and reconnecting with people in beautiful dresses. Look at everybody's outfits; they're so gorgeous.
You could tell the conference was in Florida.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this is an aerial shot of the showroom floor. So basically, what's really cool and unique, if you have never attended an IWCE event, they have this trade show floor that you can go around and meet all different vendors, get to know about different products, and really educate yourself about what's going on in the industry. They also have, if you are a workroom, they have the construction floor, which is pretty cool, where they teach classes. I was walking by and I think they were doing a cornice class one afternoon and whatnot. For me, can we
Roman
take?
shade classes.
Yeah,
They've
they had everything. I know they had like a
pillows. Yeah.
pillow contest and everything else. Although for me, my favorite section of the trade show floor is the hardware
Oh,
department.
surprise, surprise. Here we have our resident hardware expert in the house.
So for me, it was really cool to see what's coming up with lines like Paris, Texas, the Finial Company, getting to see the new sample books that are coming our way in the next couple of weeks. Really kind of getting a preview of things that if you didn't attend the show, you actually couldn't see, look, feel, and touch the new lines that are coming out. And I think that's what's really important. It's like the equivalent of when designers go to High Point and they get to do the seat test and whatnot, and they get to sit in all the new furniture, really get to see it in person. And I think I mean, we don't display the hardware here, like we have it on actual like drapery displays, but we don't have a traditional hardware display with the plexiglass and the different hardware examples,
Like little
like little,
snippets
yeah, like
of
little
rods.
snippets of, yeah, we don't, I mean, we don't have enough wall space for that. So to actually get to see the new finials in person, see the
Mhm.
scale. So then this way I could come back and really educate my clients, like, you're going to love this, or this I think is going to look a little too chunky. So for me, that was really great. And then I actually had a moment to chat with the CEO of Paris, Texas for a while. Just, talking about different things, industry struggles, about back orders and delays, and really getting a handle on that. And I think it was really great that she took the time to sit there and have a conversation with me. We talked for about 20 minutes about what was new,
Wow,
and yeah,
that's
so
impressive.
it was really great. And I just walked up to her and was like, "Hey, I have a couple questions for you." And she was like, "Great, let's go talk about them." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Well, I
So,
think it just shows you, and it goes speaks to the fact that coming to these conferences, you have these vendors and sometimes presidents of these companies.
mhm,
You have their full attention
right.
because you are their captive audience, they are your captive audience. When
Hmm.
we get back to our desks, it's full of paper and mail and email and everything
Hmm.
else that we have to do. But when you go to a conference like that, you can meet your reps, you can meet vice presidents and owners of the companies and all the way up the ladder, and really take the time to get to know each other away from the minutia and the everyday of our daily
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, and I hung out at the WCAA booth with Luann while she
Mhm.
did her meet and greet, which was really great. And I think it's just great, really getting to meet other industry partners and um, you know, other people in the industry that do the exact same thing that we do,
Mhm.
um, and just walking around and just kind of networking. I think for me was really, I got to meet other, VPs of different companies and things like that, and voice my concerns and my struggles with certain things. So it's it's
Yes.
it's really great when you are having a conversation and they say, take my card so we can talk about this further, so I can help you and, make it a better experience for you and for your client. Because ultimately, that's really, I think, what's been a big kink in our industry the last couple of years is that with all the delays, with all the things that, all the product things, we don't have to kind of go down that rabbit hole, but I think we all are feeling it and knowing and now being able to put a face to a person that's there to be like, I'm here to help you. This is my new role in this company to help you with these things. So
Mhm.
please reach out to me so we can figure out a way to make it a better experience.
You know, the one thing I have to say, I was doing so much networking and so much talking to people and catching up with people. My one regret is that I did not get to walk around the show floor as much as I
Mhm.
usually do and as much as I wanted. So I'm really glad that you had that opportunity
Yeah, I
because
mean,
that's
I
really
will say I where I was fortunate was I was at the EW booth for this one particular vendor,
mhm.
and they happened to walk by and started talking to Vinny. And
Yeah.
Vinny was like, "Actually, the person you really need to talk to is standing right there. So go talk to Kim, and we can." And then it was myself and another window treatment, Deb Hall. She is another window treatment specialist, also an exciting Windows member. We were all at the booth, and we were just kind of going back and forth and being like, hey, how can we make the client experience better? So,
Nice. Very nice. A
oh,
quick picture of my friend and colleague and also a former student, Peggy Morgans.
mhm.
She is the owner of Parkway Window Works based in Rochester, New York. She's also one of the chairman of the board clients for Luann.
Yes.
So she coaches with Luann. And it was just wonderful to see her. It so happens that we've seen each other twice in the last month, which is
Mhm.
unheard of because we haven't seen each other like ever. But you guys at WindowWorks had a wonderful event, joint venture between WCAA and
Mhm.
IDS, hosted by WindowWorks. And Peggy drove down, so it was the first time that I met her in the beginning of March.
Oh, really?
That was the
You
first
hadn't
time
met
we
her?
met each other. We'd never met before. And then so IWCE was the second time. And so we walked around a little bit, or I think maybe chatted. I think this was at the WCAA booth.
Yes.
I worked it on Wednesday morning for about an hour, talking to different people and just greeting and meeting and greeting all the WCAA members. So again, just people that we see on Zoom, people that we see on social media, but never get to meet in person. What a wonderful way to do it at these conferences. And not to be forgotten, uh, IWCE is really the only window treatment conference
Yep.
for the window treatment folks. Now,
Industry.
I say that with a little bit of a footnote. There is another conference. It's called Custom Workroom Conference. It is produced and organized and put together by a wonderful lady in the industry. Her name is Susan Woodcock and her husband. It's usually held in October. So if we have workrooms listening to this, I saw Rose Gardner join. So I think, Rose, you've been to that conference. If not, it's definitely worth it. I went there a few years ago before COVID. That conference is very workroom driven and
Driven.
concentrated. So it's all about fabricating. It's all about new ways of making things with a little bit of business knowledge sprinkled in there. But really, I would say probably 70–80% of it is fabrication techniques and the struggles that workrooms go through.
Mhm.
IWCE, I want to say, is probably a reverse. I think it's about 20% workroom related, with the rest of it being shop at home, window treatment retailers or window treatment pros, anything that is window treatment related outside of the workroom.
Don't they have, and I could totally be wrong with this, for the IWC, don't they have like the first day is like a heavy, like construction based, like workroom based? Like they have
So
like these intensive?
they do have a lot of classes the first
Mhm.
day. So the show goes for 3 days. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. At least that's
Mhm.
how it is this year.
This year, yeah.
The showroom floor opened on Wednesday and goes Wednesday, Thursday. So the entire day Tuesday
Mhm.
was heavy with classes.
Okay.
Some of them were fabrication classes.
Okay.
Sandra Van Sickle, who is also a wonderful lady in the window treatment industry, you guys should definitely check her out. I know she's very present on Facebook. I'm not so sure about Instagram, but she did a 4-part class. I don't want to misspeak. I know she taught some of it. Maybe other people taught some others. But
Mhm.
the point is that there's a 4-part Roman shade class,
Okay.
which is very heavy driven in terms of fabrication and how to make them. And I think, Rose, you would have liked it, or maybe you helped put it together. I don't know, because Rosemary Gardner, who I'm
Mhm.
not sure if she's still here or not, give us a shout, Rose. She is a a whiz at all things Roman shades.
Oh,
So, it's just different ways of
yeah.
finding what you love, finding what you're good at, and then passing it along to other people.
We all have our niche.
We sure do.
Yay, this panel.
So
I
you came in for this panel, so you
I
tell me what your
did.
impressions were.
I Okay, so this panel was Luann moderated this panel. It was sponsored by the WCAA and ADR Hardware. I was super bummed because I made sure I booked my flight early enough so that I would get into Florida at 11 because this panel started at 12. And naturally, there was runway traffic because it was rush hour at the airport. And I didn't get in and didn't get into this class until 12:20.
So
So
you got
I
the
was
actually, no, you didn't miss anything because for the first few minutes, people were getting lunch and there were some opening remarks.
okay
So you heard a lot of the interaction.
because I was that crazy lady that wheeled in with all my
I saw
luggage.
you.
It's in the back. But for me, what I thought was really excellent about this presentation was you're getting the perspective from three people that are involved in the project. So you have the designer who's coming up with the concept, which was
Which was Sarah Lynn Brennan,
Marilyn Brennan, correct. Then you had Vita coming from
the
the
workroom.
workroom perspective. And then you had Roger, who is coming from the installer perspective. I mean, hearing the fact that Roger had to do a custom bend of a rod around a tree because it didn't come correctly, the bend, and that he just thought, well, I could either figure out a way to get this done, or we're going to have to come back. And coming back, as we all know in the industry, is not our, those are our pain points of having to return to a job.
Yes.
So the fact that he just thought out of the box and thought, you know what, the tree, I can bend this rod around the tree and it will work and I can make it happen. And it's just, for me, it was an eye opener of all the Houdini tricks that our installers have to do. I know oftentimes that Billy and Carlos will come back and be like, what was your thought process in this? And I was like, well, it was this, this, and this. And they're like, yeah, no, like we made it work, but
But next
next
time, do
time do
something
this.
different.
Or we had a situation where the hardware company swapped the type of collars that they sent
Mm,
for finials. So we had a designer who wanted a specific finial in the primary bedroom, which was a hand draw baton or a baton draw traversing rod. And the dining room was just stationary panels rod with rings. So those ends are completely different.
mhm.
But they swapped them by mistake and sent the wrong ends. And
How did they make it work?
I don't know
Oh my
because
God,
the designer said, and they were like, "Well, we can't switch them." And she's like, "No, nope."
you
And
have
we're
to.
like, "Okay." So somehow Carlos figured out a way to make them work, to make them connect,
Yeah,
and it's
amazing.
little things like that. And hearing what Roger was saying about, you
Yeah,
know, what the installer is the last point of contact and can really make
yep,
or break the project. You could do everything right, but if you have someone that goes in there that doesn't have the passion to hang window treatments. And I know that sounds really crazy, but it's the truth that a good installer is everything.
yeah.
So,
The one thing I have to tell you I took away from this panel, and I was on the panel, and still, again, it's in that spirit of continuous learning and improvement. Sometimes just having your thought validated is just as important in learning a
mhm,
new thing. And I came into the show with one big problem and also trying to just channel my thought into that area, and that is finding the right installer.
mhm,
I am personally going right now, my company is going through a pretty kind of rough waters in terms of having a good installer. Somebody that we've had for a long time is doing something different now and is no longer with Vitalia Inc. So I am actively looking for the perfect person for us. And so what I heard from Roger and from everybody else is finding that person is extremely difficult. Not impossible, but is very, very difficult. And so the entire time I was there, I was asking everybody who would listen or who would share, how do you find your installers? And there's no one place where installers hang out. It's not like you go
Yeah.
on Indeed or LinkedIn where if you need a professional, if you need an administrative assistant or any kind of design associate, and that's where these people hang out. Installers don't. So you have to resort to a lot more creative and weird ways of finding people. So some of the ideas that were given to me and we're pursuing are as follows. So you guys can maybe employ them if that's what you're looking for. So talk to your local fire companies, because oftentimes firefighters, they
Yes.
work 24-hour shift and then they are off for 2 to 3 days, and oftentimes they are looking for part-time work on the side.
Mhm.
Approach your vocation schools or like
Mhm.
trade schools. Sorry, I just needed to.
Mhm.
And put up ads or postings or talk to people there, because that's where those type of people may be learning a different trade, and perhaps they might be interested in what you're offering them. Number three is community colleges in the area. That's usually a good way to find people. And then, of course, talk to everybody you know and ask them to talk to everybody they know. Now, the one important thing is the job posting. And what I learned is you can't exactly say that you're looking for a window treatment installer, because it's very, very rare that anybody would have that kind of title or even thinking in those terms.
Yeah.
What I learned is you need to talk in terms of the types of skills that they have. So, for example, are you mechanically inclined? Do you like working with power tools? Is sitting at at the desk and having a 9 to 5 job, nine to five, not your jam? You don't want to do that. Um, do you like putting together Legos? Do you like putting together 1,000-piece puzzles? Do you like challenging situations? And do you like working with your hands? So all of those descriptors that you can add into the job posting that could potentially appeal to the type of candidate that could be a good installer. Now, it's a long tail strategy. None of it is real fast. It doesn't mean that you're going to find somebody like that. But what I know is that you have to start somewhere, and the best time to start is today and not wait until tomorrow, because time will tick anyway, and nothing will change from today until tomorrow if you have done nothing. So
Yeah.
that's just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain with the mindset that I went into the show with. And I did come back with a renewed energy and enthusiasm for looking for the right person, knowing that it's going to take some time, but also knowing that if I do put in the time, I know I will find him or her or
Yeah.
her.
Yes, because I did meet Tia, who is a who installs for Brooke over. Now I forget
Yeah,
where
I
they're
know,
located
Brooke.
out of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brooke is the
'Cause,
former student as well. Oh my goodness, I can't remember either.
well, her
She's an
sister Tia.
exciting witness. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in. We were at a round table together, so it's cool to see a woman
Woman
installer.
installer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really awesome.
All right,
Aw,
and
look
there's
at
a
this
picture of me
dynamic
and
duo.
Luann. So what's really cool is that this is our fifth conference together, and just seeing where it started and how it's going has been a real awesome ride for me. Just to, I remember our first conference that we went to, Luann actually was the keynote and she did the big morning presentation. And now seeing, all the different panel discussions that she leads and the classes that she presents at has just been really cool. So this was right after that panel discussion, after we had a quick nibble of lunch and caught up with each other. Because despite what everybody thinks, even though we share an office wall, because Luann Nagar Inc. is down the hall from Window Works, I haven't seen Luann since Monday. I haven't talked to her. Yes, Tammy, that's where we met. We met at the
Aw,
IWCE
that's awesome.
in Charlotte. And what was really cool about that was Tammy, I used to follow her blog all the time when I first got into the window treatment industry in the Stitches. I think that was the name of your blog. So for me, when I would drink my cup of coffee and I would read Tammy's blog. That's how I learned a lot from that blog. So it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, and actually to your point, I didn't really get to see much of Luann either. It's like we talk on Voxer all the time or on the phone. We record the podcast. I mean, there's a lot of relationship and friendship behind the scene, but the one time that we can actually see each other in person doesn't really doesn't really happen a
No.
lot because what doesn't happen, how do I say this? Like we get to see each other, we hug, we, how are you, da da da, and then we're just kind of going in two separate directions because we get to see each other sometimes. We get to talk to each other a lot, but we don't talk at almost at all to everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's where our energy is put during those
Yeah.
conferences.
So it's funny. Like I'm like, yeah, So this was a nice group shot of us before we went out to dinner. So who we have here, for those of you who are just joining us, this is our recap of the IWCE Window Treatment Conference that Vita and I attended last week. So this was in the hotel lobby as we were saying goodbye to Sarah Lynn Brenner. She was on her way up to Charleston to meet up with her family. So Sarah Lynn is in the bottom corner. Then you have Vin Chens, the Vin Man, Luann, myself, and then JC Rocha, who is one of the partners here at Window Works. This was right after the last day of the IWCE and then the start of the EW conference that usually piggybacks to the IWCE conference. So we were just on our way out to dinner. So it was
I
great.
have to tell you an interesting story that happened before this shot happened
Okay.
during the day. So this was on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We attended the conference and classes and whatnot during the first part of the day until about 2 o'clock. It was wonderful that the day kind of finished with a recap of our
Mm-hmm.
aha moments led by Luann. There was a kind of a panel discussion right on the show floor. And then we were all kind of making our way back to the exit and wanting to go back to the hotel. And I had to grab a quick bite and go to the airport. So it was Sarah. It was Stephanie, who is our marketing coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I think about it now, we should have included a picture of her, and she didn't
Oh.
include one of herself. All right, we'll have to rectify that. So it was Sarah, Stephanie, Nikki Greenwood, who I talked about a little
Mm-hmm.
earlier, and me, and I. And all of a sudden, there was this huge rain that started coming down, like a hurricane kind of like
Mm-hmm.
rain. I mean, everything got gray and windy and awful. And we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So we hung out there in the lobby for a few minutes, and then there was a reprieve. I'm like, oh my goodness, no rain, let's run. So we started running for the hotel, and then we're like, oh, you know what? We have a little bit of time. Let's try a sushi place down the road. So we make it down the road, we park ourselves in the booth, we order our stuff, and all of a sudden, again, this huge rainstorm starts coming down. So, but except that this time it wasn't for a few minutes. The second time it was for several hours.
Yeah.
So as it was raining, Sarah, Stephanie, Nikki, and I sat there in that booth for, I kid you not, 4 hours. That's when I also learned that my flight got canceled and, the whole thing. Rebooked myself. For 4 hours, we sat there eating sushi, drinking wine, and guess what else? Masterminding. We each went around the table and brought up one biggest issue that we were facing and how by ourselves we could not diagnose what it was, or if we could do at least that, we couldn't quite see the forest for the woods about what to do next. And so as one person stated their issue and some of their concerns, the other three gave advice and talked about what should be done and how they see things happening. And that's what we did. Each one of us took the turn to talk about what's on our minds. And that for me was the highlight of the entire show. I mean, it's just amazing that you have to leave your desk, leave your office, your problems, your people, everything you leave behind. You have to literally fly to a different location to see the people that you love and respect, and have the 4 hours in the Japanese restaurant over a meal and wine with torrential rain outside, and just having the most beautiful, intimate moment of a mastermind. It was beautiful.
That's great.
Favorite part, yeah.
You
And
know,
then a couple of hours later, Sarah's like, okay, it was
gotta
time for
go.
her, yeah, it was time for her to go.
No, the one regret I have, Vita, is that we did take a picture together.
You and I didn't take a picture together? Oh my god.
No, no, and I mean, it wasn't like we did, and we hung out enough
Oh,
that, like, even that the first night that I was there, that we didn't take that, like, me, you, and Stephanie didn't take a picture together with
we
Nikki.
didn't?
We did not. We sat
Oh,
there and talked shop, had our, wine at the side of the pool and our fish sandwiches and shared our guac, but
yeah,
never took a picture. I realize that now as we're talking. I was like, we have
it
zero
is.
pictures together.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous. I'm telling you, ridiculous. We'll have to rectify it at the next conference.
Next time. So this picture is a picture of Corey Dame Jenkins. He was the keynote speaker of the entire conference, and I think what was really cool for me was his conference was based around his book, and his book that came out this past fall. And I think what was really interesting and unique for me is that I actually I own a copy of his book, and I
Mhm. So
flipped
do I.
through it and looked at all the beautiful window treatments that he has in his beautiful interiors, but actually hearing the stories and
Mhm.
hearing the concepts and how he came up with each design, I think for me was really interesting. How he calls a window treatment that a peplum, something that I had never heard
I've
before.
never heard of that before
I
either.
mean, we call it just a window treatment with an attached valance, and he called it a peplum. And I was like, well, Luann, I think I'm going to be calling this a peplum now, or the quarry panel. um,
Yeah, the Corey panel
and
is what I will
I,
be calling
I,
it.
so it just was really unique to see someone, such a big hitter in the industry, take time out of his schedule to come to talk to us window treatment specialists,
Mhm.
and hearing how he approaches um, window treatments in his projects. All of his projects have some type of a window treatment, whether it's a mock Roman valance or drapery panels. Don't call them curtains, drapery panels. And it was really special to me. And I think one of the things that he said that really resonated with me, it was at the end of his keynote, was to give yourself a little grace,
Mm.
to not listen to the voices in your head at night, and to give yourself a little grace. And I think for me, where that hit for me, it's just, there's no secret that the last couple years since COVID have been a little crazy for everybody. And then I think just the pressure of it all, to try to get everyone's window treatments out, to try to create these lovely projects and everything goes seamlessly. And then when things do go wrong, it's just giving yourself a little moment to be like, okay, I am a person, and it is okay to give yourself a little grace, to take that moment. And I was like, wow, if for Corey to have to feel that way and for him to have to tell himself, I'm like, okay, so it felt great to not feel like you're not the only one who feels that way at the end of a long day, especially a
Yeah.
long, crappy day.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was like a really big aha moment.
Nice. He also said something about using and taking advantage of not windows of opportunities, but doors of opportunities. And that was an interesting concept for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Too long to explain right now. So if you guys are ever in the position where you have the opportunity to listen to Corey speak, whether at High Point or in your local ASID chapter, IDS chapter, WCA chapter, that have him, I'm sure he'll be talking about that concept again, or maybe follow him on Instagram or wherever he hangs out. It's something that he truly believes in strongly, and I know he's talked about it before. So watch for the explanation between the window of opportunity and the door of opportunity and how he defines the two. All right, and I got to have a little bit of an Academy Award moment too here. We did this awesome project, super modern, very sexy project. This was for a fantastic designer that we have here in the Philadelphia area. Her name is Michelle Plachter of Michelle Plachter Interiors. She is a phenomenal woman, an incredibly talented designer. She's the one who masterminded this room. As a matter of fact, this whole house. She picked the fabric, she picked the hardware. I mean, she did everything. We fabricated, we created, we installed, we figured out how to do all of it, but the vision was hers, so I give her full credit. In this workroom competition, in the category of draperies, curtains and draperies, I think it's called, we got the first place for this room. It was challenging to produce, believe it or not, all these stripes and figuring it out and how to like pleat it and where to start and where to end. And of course, the pattern shifts because this was a silky fabric. These were inverted pleated drapes. The acrylic hardware in some around the fireplace went end to end, so effectively like an inside mount
Mhm.
situation. So lots of challenges, lots of interesting things here. It took forever to produce and install and the whole thing, but in the end, it turned out beautiful, and I was really excited to turn it in, to submit it, and ultimately to get. Thank you, Tammy, and ultimately to get the award. So that was nice.
So congratulations to you, Rita. That's very
Thank you, thank
exciting.
you.
Alrighty, everyone. So that concludes our recap of the IWCE. If you are a window treatment specialist or a designer that just
Thank
wants
you.
to get a further education on window treatments, I would really suggest attending, because it's not just for window treatment specialists. There are classes there, business classes there, that you can really apply the knowledge that the speakers are giving to any business, really.
Yep,
So,
yep, yeah. Whether you're workroom, whether you are a home-based business, whether you have nobody working for you because you're a solopreneur, or you have a team of people working for you, if you're a vendor, if you are anybody and everybody from the window treatment industry should highly consider attending this show, because this show really is it.
yeah, and interior designers too. That you
Yes,
could you
thank you.
could
Thank you very
absolutely
much. Very,
learn.
very important group.
Yeah,
Installers.
and I also think too. I mean, for especially like, even if you've been in the industry a very long time, I know that every time I go, I come away with some type of nugget, and I've been doing this for the
Yeah,
last 14 years.
yeah.
So there's always you can always learn from someone.
Yep.
So
And you just come back re-energized.
mhm,
It's so easy to get sucked into the minutia of everyday life and all the
completely
problems
wrong.
and all the things that we deal with on an everyday basis. Yes, we
Mhm.
love this industry, we love what we do, but on an everyday, like hour by hour, minute by minute, I mean, there's crap. Can I say that on a
Yes,
live broadcast?
yes, you can. You can absolutely,
There's
because that is
there's
the truth. That is pulling
stuff. There's
that
stuff
is
that
pulling the
happens
curtain back
all
and
the
being
time.
completely
Yes.
transparent and honest. So that is, as much as we create beautiful things, there's a lot that goes through. Like that picture, that that install that you did, that you won.
Hmm.
I bet the hours at night that you were up at night sweating
Yes.
and freaking
Yes.
out and having that pit in your stomach that you walked around with for 4 weeks while that thing was in production, and you felt like
Yes.
you couldn't exhale until the darn panels were up. I get it. We've all been there.
Yeah. I am so glad that you're my friend, Kim, because as much as I love my friends and family, and of course they hear what I do, they know what I do, they kind of understand what I do, but it is all of us. It's you, my friend, it's you guys listening,
Yeah.
it's everybody attending IWCE. We really get it. I mean, we get it in our core.
No, it's not just you, Sue.
Oh,
It's all
Sue.
of us. We could probably start like a support group,
Yes.
a cocktail support group, an end of day Friday. Let's all do it.
I know, I know.
Um,
The crap that happened this week.
no, we celebrate the wins. It went up, no
Yes, you're right.
problem. Woo! Cheers.
I know. I know. Oh man.
All right, everybody. We've
Anyway,
been
let's
talking
wrap
a
this
long,
up.
long
Yeah.
time, so we're going to wrap this up really quickly. So, if you are new to the window treatment game and you want to get a basic window treatment 101 guide, Luann wrote an ebook that is on the WindowWorks website. Architectural Digest is incoming. 10 things you need to know about custom window treatments. Head on over to the WindowWorks website, windowworksnj.com, and get your free copy.
Let's do it,
Do
Sue says. And from Vitalia Inc., you also have a free gift. It is a curated lookbook we're calling 37 and a half window treatment ideas for you to swipe, steal, and use immediately on your next project. And you can get yours at my website, on my website at vitaliainc.com.
Okay. And to keep up with all things Miss Luann, head on over to luannigara.com where you can listen to the audio version of Window Treatment Friday or Window Treatment Friday. And Luann has also created a new podcast because, God forbid, the woman is just, on fire. Window Treatments for Profits, where Vita, yay, is a
Here I am. If
recurring
you don't
guest
have, if you haven't gotten enough of me, I'm yet on another podcast and another medium. I feel like I'm sick of me.
No, no, no. So you get to listen to Vita's tip in 10. I listened to last week's tip. Amazing, amazing tip. I have yet to listen to this week's. That is on my docket for my office time today when I put my headphones in and shut everybody out and work. So I am
Good for
excited to
you.
hear your tip this week. So
Awesome.
you are in the window treatment game. Definitely listen to it. Luann has a guest, has a interview someone every Monday, then has Madeline
Oh,
McCrae,
thanks, Mary.
and then also has Vito. So it is crucial to our industry.
Called Window Treatments for Profit. That's the name
Yes,
of the podcast. So go on wherever you listen to your podcast and subscribe.
yes. All right. And if you are in the New Jersey or New York area and you have a window treatment and awning project, please give us a shout. Even if you're not in the area and you're a designer that is like, I have this really crazy window that I need your help with, we will travel wherever you would like us to go. Head on over to the WindowWorks Instagram page. Follow us at WindowWorks and send us a DM, PM, and we would be happy to help you on your next project.
Hmm. And similarly for Vitalia Inc., we are based in the Philadelphia area. We service the interior design trade exclusively. So if you are looking for support with window treatment projects, we can definitely have your back and support you. And then if you are a window treatment professional, I also wanted you to know that you have opportunities to work with me. There's 3 different ways. I do VIP days for one-on-one coaching. I teach Luann a class at Luann University called Systems Driven Operations. And I also have business digital tools packages, all of which are available on the resources tab of my website at vitaliainc.com. So I hope to talk to you, to see you. And Kim, it was so great to be here again. This was a long episode. I
Yes.
guess we had a lot to say. So thank you for sticking around with us, guys. Usually they're about 30 minutes in case you're new to this.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next Friday because if it's Friday,
It's WTF Live, Window Treatment Friday Live. See you
have,
guys.
have a good
Happy
weekend
Easter.
and happy Passover to everyone.
That's
Bye bye.
a good idea. Bye-bye.